Well, congratulations. The new album has dropped. Cheers, I should say.
Cheers to you. Thank you.
I'm sure you've had plenty of puns since it's dropped.
It hasn't been out long enough for me to be tired of them yet. So you're
Okay,
still
good.
you're still in that little happy window.
This is your sixth studio album. What are some themes you guys explore on this particular one?
It's crazy to think about 6 albums. It's like, how are we still doing this? How are we still making music? It's insane. Um, the some of the themes we have, like, the what's the best way to put this? A lot of this record was taking what we loved from all of our other records and trying to put it into this one. So there are elements from our first record, especially Tommy, who's the other songwriter in the band, guitarist, singer. On the first record, he had all these big epic songs about the apocalypse, and we sort of brought that energy of, like, songs that flow into one another, and lyrics about sort of this dystopian apocalyptic world, and put those in a bunch of songs, and then still tried to integrate, like, the poppier, smarter, cleaner kind of orchestrations and songwriting that we have loved. And what's neat about this record especially is some of the songs are written before COVID, some of them were written during, but all of them still feel like they belong in that era. So there's songs that feel like they're directly about COVID that we wrote before it even happened and didn't know that we were going to be anticipating, the world falling apart.
Well, you've saved Cheers for the 13th slot on the album. What made it good for the album title?
We sort of love music as a means of celebrating, and as a way of sort of bringing joy and coming together. And that song could have gone first on the record and it could have gone last, but we liked putting it at the end because it's got this, thanks for being here, thanks for listening, thanks for being part of our journey energy. And that's sort of what the album's about too. It's because we sort of hit on all of these other records that we've made. It's a nice way to be like, cheers, thanks for sticking with us through all these years and being with us into the future and keeping us going.
As songwriters, do you guys need to have the music before the lyrics come to you? Since you guys do tend to feature piano in most of your music.
I'm usually a music first person. I'll sit at either this piano or any piano I can find, and just play and wait for inspiration, wait for a little bit of, like, a musical
The
something I
muse
haven't
whispering
played. The
in your
muse,
ear.
yeah, exactly. And then, the rest of my time is spent, jotting down little lyrics and thinking about what it is that I might want to write, and letting that sort of sit in the back of my mind and spin and percolate, and hope something comes out. But yeah, I'm typically a music first person. Tommy, the other songwriter, he's much more lyrically driven, and then I come in and try to figure out, this poor guy is writing these songs on a guitar. How is he going to fit in a ton of piano music? But that's sort of what makes us sound like how we sound.
This album is self-produced. Is that something you guys have always featured on your albums, or is this more of a recent trend for you?
This is brand new. We're like, okay, it's album number 6. Surely we know how to make a record at this point. We had planned to self-produce and self-record it even before the whole world shut down, which is really fortunate because we built this studio, which I think you can see behind me, and did the whole thing during lockdown in here. And it was my first time engineering, our first time producing. But we've learned so much through all the other albums that we've made and from the amazing producers that we've worked with. And so just trying to incorporate all the things that we've learned and experienced with them, and then, brought in other people to do the things we can't do, which is, mixing and mastering and other stuff like that. But it was quite the journey.
Well, Wasted features Andrew McMahon. How did you guys come to work with him on that track?
We toured with Andrew years ago when he was playing in Jack's Mannequin, and became friends and stayed in touch. And a couple months before COVID hit, I was in Los Angeles, and he and I wrote a song together, and that song turned into Wasted. And when it came time to put it on the record, I just couldn't get the way he sang the second verse and pre-chorus out of my head. It just sounds
Very
like his
addictive.
voice, and it sounded like his voice, and I loved the way he sang it. And so I hit him up and I was like, yo, would you want to sing on this? Would you want to feature on the song? We've never done that with an artist, but we wrote it together, and his voice is there in my mind. So it's nice to be able to share that with everyone else. Be like, yeah, this is how I've always heard it. Now you get to hear it this way too.
Well, some of my personal favorite tracks on the album are Hey Maud, Million Dollar Bills. Do you have a personal favorite?
Um, yeah, Brass Band is my personal favorite.
Good one.
It's also just a victory for me. That's really the first tune that I've ever fully 100% produced and envisioned all on my own. And Tommy and Jesse were very gracious to sort of let me sort of bulldoze my way into the vision of that song. And I think it came out great. And I remember I wrote it and brought it upstairs to my wife. And I was like, I don't know if I've just written the worst thing ever or the best thing ever, but you have to listen and tell me the truth.
No biased opinions on this on this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Was there a song then that challenged you the most creatively when it came to adding it to the album?
Um, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Sort of all of Tommy's songs, that sounds like a dig. I don't mean it that way. All of Tommy's, like, Tommy brought in so much concept. He brought in, like, hey, I want this to have multiple parts, and I want this to have a big, like, piano orchestration, and this is a guitar solo, and this is this looping part. There's gonna be a ton of lyrics. And so we spent a long time really chipping away at those
Mm.
songs, which was amazing, because if we were in a conventional studio environment where we're paying by the day and we're paying for a producer to be there, we wouldn't have had the luxury to really spend the time on those songs and develop them and write the parts. And that was one of the real gifts from self-producing and working here, is giving ourselves the time to explore those songs. But I would be lying if I said that those happened overnight. Those are a labor of love for sure.
The album's been out for a short amount of time. What kind of fan response have you been receiving through social media?
Nothing but good fan response, to be honest.
Good.
Which is, it's so funny to release a record nowadays and you just go online and try to see what people think. That it's not, we're getting reviews and we're doing things, but for the most part, it's just, hey, let's go on Twitter and search for our name and see what shows up. Which is bizarre and not my favorite way to go about it. But the fan response has been great. I think some new people are already even discovering the music, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's actually been even more positive than than the last couple of records, which makes us feel really, really good.
Sixth time is a charm, my friend.
Yeah, tell that to, I don't know, any other band. No one makes 6 records. Come on.
Jukebox the Ghost is headed out on a tour this fall. What have you guys missed most about being on stage since concerts had been on hold for such a long time?
Yeah, it's all about that energy coming back. We got so used to doing, live stream concerts and playing
Right.
online, and it was,
Zoom, Insta Live, things like that.
yeah. I mean, I went online every single day during COVID at noon on weekdays, and I called it noodling at noon, and I just made it up. I just improvised music for about half an hour, and all this amazing collection of people joined me every day, and we're always there, and it was really this special thing. But I got accustomed to playing and then finishing and have it being complete silence, and just having to be in my head, be like, I know people are listening, I know they're enjoying it, they're there, it's happening, but there is nothing like being in a room with people and sharing that energy and sharing that experience and sharing those songs and hearing their voices and our voices in music. And you can't fake that. And you can approximate it, and you can do online concerts, and they're great, and they're especially great for people who live in more rural parts of the country that we don't get to go to. And I love being able to connect with those people and play for those people. But yeah, it's just great to be in front of people again and feel that energy.
Well, the tour kicks off in September in Philadelphia, and you guys wrap in October in your hometown of New York. Where are some of your favorite places to play outside of obviously the fave hometown crowd?
Yeah. I've been really loving playing in Denver. Something happened, and we got to level up and play some bigger rooms there. We had some radio luck on the last album cycle. What else is always great? Seattle's always a ton of fun. We've been touring long enough that we have friends and people that we love to see in almost every city in this country. So, plot me down somewhere and I can find a coffee shop and some people to hang out with, and I feel good about being there. Yeah, I mean, there's no city that I'm like on this tour, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play there. I'm excited about all of them. I'm not just saying that. There are some cities which I could skip.
Well, I think brass band is going to be a favorite when you play it live. Do you think that one's going to be the standout track, or is there another one you think that you believe fans will enjoy hearing the most live?
Yeah, I don't know. That a lot of that will sort of we will learn when we play them. We've played brass band at 2 shows so far, and both times it went over incredibly well, and the energy was great and everybody was dancing. So I do have high hopes for that continuing to feel really good. But there is this thing that happens with as the fans and people that come to the shows learn the record and learn the songs, we will feel how they react and feel what they do, and inevitably be influenced by that, and feed off that energy and play those songs that they love more.
You'll know how to rework the track list and everything as well.
Yep. It's just part of the process.
Since you guys are part of social media, why is that such an important way for you to connect with your fans? I think you touched on it a little bit earlier with the fans being rural and some of them not being able to see a live show.
Yeah, I mean that is, it's a pro and con situation. The whole industry right now is you have to be on TikTok, you have to do this, you have to do that. Yeah. And it's exhausting, but at the same time, as we mentioned, we're at album number 6. So record number 1 is you got to make your MySpace pop, and then it was your Facebook, and then it was your Twitter, and then it was it's always something. And it's just about, you just got to play the game. You just got to be there. So, at its best, it is an amazing way to connect with our fans, talk to people that we would have no other way to talk to, play for people we wouldn't otherwise be able to play for, and share, the insanity that's in our minds in a public forum. And at its worst, it's a total time sucker, life stealing, deep dark pit of hell and anxiety. So you just got to balance those 2 things out. But you know what? That's life too.
What do you hope then listeners take away from exploring the new album Cheers?
It's funny. As with any song, I don't like ever saying what somebody should feel or needs to feel or should expect. So I think if a person is going into the record to just, have a party and dance and have a good time, go for it. If they want to put it on the background and write a paper, they can do that. I just hope it can function for people however they want it or need it to, either whether it's a balm for something that hurts, or just a bit of joy, or a party, or whatever it happens to be.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the wonderful music that you all make?
I mean, it's trite, but thank you. Thanks for listening. It's as I sort of said at the beginning, it is absurd that we're still here 6 albums later making music and touring, and it wouldn't happen if we didn't have people listening and didn't have people come into shows. And we have the best fans in the world, and we meet them all over the country, and they're just wonderful. And it's funny, we're about to shoot a music video in Florida, and we just put out an all call for fans to come and hang out at the shoot. And the director just said to me, is hey, one of the people just hit me up because they have a jukebox tattoo. Does that make you nervous? Is that should we not have that person come? Are they going to be too intense? And I was like, no, I've met so many wonderful people with tattoos of the band, and none of them have ever given me the willies. We're very lucky that our fans, even the ones that are going so far as to put our little symbol or whatever on
their potties
lyrics
forever with your art.
But I truly mean it. Our fans are just delightful people, and I would hang out with any of them anywhere.